So hello and welcome to another edition of Colour Alchemy. I'm Loud Sharp and this is just going to be a what I've bought recently episode. Mainly because I'm working on two big reviews. One's X-Force, one's The Eternals. One because I absolutely adore X-Force. I don't even know why. I think it's because it's the perfect encapsulation of the evolution of comics. It started out a Liefeldian horror and ended in what is possibly the finest opera of sex and violence ever created. It's just a brilliant title. Its latest volume, not too good, and it does have some wobbles, but every now and again it hits sheer brilliance that I cannot resist. And it's one of the few comics I still buy in a floppy format. The Eternals, mainly because I am a late to the party Eternals fan, and this was before they announced the movie, so when they announced the movie I was overjoyed. But when I found this, which is the collected edition of The Eternals by Neil Gaiman and John Romita Jr. Yeah, Jr., just making sure. I just fancied it. It seems like it's right up my alley, and I knew a little bit about it, and the artwork's good, and the story's great, and it just sank my sort of interests, and it was just great, basically. And from there on in, I went back and I actually bought all the other Eternal stuff. I've actually got the entire stack down there of the original Kirby run. I'll be going into the history of it and everything in my bigger review of it, but needless to say, I've bought everything ever since. It's just a really good internal mythology in a bubble thing going on at Marvel, and I kind of appreciate that. I've also been getting I've got the recent trade paperback by Kieran Gillen, and I've got the one-shots, and I've been going back on eBay and buying some more of the one-shots, sort of thing, that kind of thing. And this one I found, I think in a back issues bin, from the 90s, with possibly the most hideous cover artwork I have ever seen. But the internal artwork, if I can just, whoa, there we go, sliding down. If I can just show you this nonsense. Hang on a minute. Let's see if I can just find an effective... Well, yeah, there we go. That's not too bad. Right, you see the sort of... The action is really strong. The anatomy, the facial expressions are actually quite neat. The layout's pretty good. And it's the same artist. But for some reason... Right? I mean, it's not like over-the-top mad sort of... You know, like in the 90s when they used to do splash pages that sort of splashed. There's even a strong sort of colour balance across the pages and everything. It's actually really beautiful artwork, to be honest with you. I'll tell you it's by in a minute. But you've got like sort of... It's just strong, sort of varied and clever and well-posed artwork. It's dynamic but not over the top. It's by Mark Teixeira. Or Teixeira. Apologise if I pronounced that wrong. But basically, yeah, it's dynamic, it's strong, it's powerful, but for some reason, right, he cannot draw Icarus. Or Icarus, whichever you prefer. Right, it's not too bad on the internal artwork, and maybe it's the inking on that cover. But that is seriously hideous. It's like, it's dynamic as all heck, and it's coming right towards you, don't get me wrong. But oof, I think it is the inking over top of what looks like really fast pencils. But anyway, little impromptu review of an Eternal giant sized one-shot there. But I've been getting quite a few of them. I've got another one down there, Apocalypse Now, which is quite interesting. But one of the other purchases that I bought the other day, which I didn't think I was going to get, I was waiting for the trade to come out of this. But way back, it was one of the first comics I bought as a sort of, ooh, that looks really good, let me have it. And it prompted me to go and see the film. So in a weird way, it's kind of like a reverse thing. Oh, that's really surreal, actually. But basically, yeah, Batman 89. I've got issues 2 and 3, and they are seriously brilliant, if I'm being honest. The artwork is probably the weakest part of it. You can tell that they're sort of rushing it slightly, but the design sense is strong. The layouts are excellent. The colour work's just lovely. I mean, and the likenesses aren't too far off either. Sort of thing. You get this consistent colour scheme that fits in nicely with the 89 movie. And consequently, it does feel like a natural extension of the 89 film. But like I said, I've actually got the American format movie adaptation of this that I saw on a shelf in a newsagent in Ainsdale as I was walking up to the newsagent, because I used to buy like 2000 ADs and Wildcat when it was out and things like that, all the UK type comics, and it was just on there. And I think they did have a smattering of other American comics as well, but none of them actually captured my imagination like the front cover of that 89 Batman adaptation. From there, I was persuaded to go and see the film with my nan, who sat patiently through it with me, and I was very grateful for that. And from there, I bought literally everything with a bat symbol on it. And from there, I bought things like Grendel and some of the crossovers that Batman did and things like that. And I learned to appreciate other characters. And my interest in comics just grew from there. But I was always a geek before that. It was an urge to buy comics was there in me to start with. Otherwise, I wouldn't have picked up the movie adaptation and all the other nonsense I used to pick up. So there's that, which I'm quite pleased with. I'll probably do a bigger review of that, actually. That'd be quite fun. Do you know what? Donny Cates has had some seriously big shoes to fill after Jason Aaron with Thor. And not only has he filled them, but he's walked further. Jason Aaron wrote some epic stories for Thor. And Donny Cates came along and, oh wow, he not only expanded on the mythos, he expanded on Thor. It's like, in the past, Thor has always been a character that's had to come to terms with the fact that he is a god amongst men. He has to deal with the fact that he can be brash and arrogant, and he is this character that has learnt humility, the whole hammer thing. It's like the progression of the films, for example. In the first one, he learns humility. In the second one, he learns to be a hero. And in the third one, he learns to be a king. And I've always kind of enjoyed that. And that sensation of growth within a character that has the space to do it. That Marvel have always been quite good at that. Thor is a young, brash warrior. But compared to other Asgardians, he's quite young. So that's where that comes from. But in this one, it explores the idea that he's becoming a king, or he is a king. And it turns out he's not that good at it. And they do interesting things with Mjolnir. And they've done interesting things with Galactus. And interesting things with his perception of time. There was a whole panel where he asks Captain America, when was the last time we had a conversation? And Captain America says something like, I think it was the fight we had with the Black King or something like that. I'm not entirely sure which massive event crossover that was. But basically, yeah. And Thor says, to me, that was like seconds ago and stuff like that. And it was just this, his perception of time and mortality is fantastic. And Cates is actually exploring the character, and I was truly worried because the last volume of Thor, the one where he didn't have the hammer leading up to War of the Realms, it was fun. It was really fun, and I want to know where Thor's gone as well, his dog. But it wasn't. Oh man, there was something slightly off about it. It was really good. It was brilliant. It was still worth reading. It was better than the X-Force volume that I'm currently reading at the moment. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't something I regret picking up. I don't regret picking up the X-Force volume, but it's one of them where I'm like, oh god, come on, move on. But yeah, post War of the Realms stuff has just been out of this world. Absolutely amazing. That's another thing as well that I'm going to be covering when I do my Eternals thing, is the tie into Thor and the other mythologies that Marvel have got. Beta Ray Bill Godhunter. Oh, I finally picked this up, and boy am I looking forward to it. I love me some Beta Ray Bill. Absolutely adore it. His latest 5-parter was exceptional. It explored a character that is just racked with guilt and just this sense of, or complete lack of self-worth. And it explores Scuttlebutt, his ship, who turns into a sentient being, and his ability to change back, and his pursuit of a different weapon, and his relationship with Thor. Oh my god, or his relationship with Thor at the moment, because obviously Thor's king and it's changed things a little bit and it makes you a bit uncomfortable. But I've got all of the Beta Ray Bill stuff except for this one, which is God Hunter, where he basically goes after Galactus. And yeah, I found it going for fairly cheap on eBay, so I'm quite pleased about that. That is some seriously good stuff. I'm hoping Beta Ray Bill's going to be in the next Thor movie, to be honest with you, but I'm not that fussed if he's not. Me and the Thor movies have an interesting relationship, and that's something I'll be covering in my full colour celluloid episode. And if you're wondering, by the way, why I haven't managed to get one of these videos out recently, have a look at my Maybury Hill journal, and all will be revealed. That's like all the personal stuff. Other things that I have purchased: latest volume of Spider-Woman, which I'm really looking forward to reading. I adore Spider-Woman. She's probably my third favourite superhero after Thor and Captain Marvel. X-Force. I've not read this one yet. Maybe it'll be better. Let's see. Bit of an on-the-spot job. I mean, the artwork's solid. The storylines have been fair. The intercharacterization has kept me going. There's been one or two genuine gems. I love the fact that Black Tom's in it. I love what they're doing with various bits and pieces, but I just find it all a little bit... It's interesting. It's kept my interest. It's a different version of X-Force. I can live with it, but I can't wait for them to get back to the slick Black Ops style team that they used to have in the Rick Remender days, when it was all a bit cosmic, but it was fantastic. Other stuff that I found Marvel Zombies 2 going dirt cheap, which I'm really looking forward to reading, because why not? I mean, especially after that What If episode. I've read the first one, it was weird but brilliant, and this one looks the same. Robert Kirkman doing zombie superheroes. How can you go wrong? Don't you dare slide off. Sliding off. It didn't slide off. Another one that I will be doing a big review of eventually is Monstrous. This is by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takada. If I have mispronounced those names, I do apologise. But the artwork. The artwork. And the story. And the sense of calm and action. Oh my god. And it's not all like that one bland colour either. It's not like there's a bit obviously where something magical is happening. I've not read this one yet, so I don't know what's going on, and I'm not reading it. This is a comic where words and pictures genuinely move in harmony with each other. And so you can look at some of the pictures and not know what's going on, and it doesn't feel like a spoiler. It looks like something that you're going to be excited to get to when you finally get around to reading it. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Let's see. New Mutants, found this going dirt cheap. Looking forward to that too. Rosenberg, I don't know that writer off the top of my head, but the artwork's pretty solid. I like me some New Mutants now and again. I've got some of their early trades. One or two of them are going like really expensive on Amazon. It's a bit ridiculous, to be honest with you. But I've got like trades 1, 2, 3 and maybe 5 or something like that. And I saw this going for something like $3.99 in my local comic shop. I thought, I'm having that because it looks good. I am collecting anything I can with War of the Realms in it. This will probably do that thing. Oh, it's another Rosenberg. Look at that. This will probably do that thing where it's not directly tied in, or it's tangentially tied in, although it does look like there's a lot going on. But the X-Men, and it does look like it's got some of the New Mutants in it as well, which is quite good. But that's always been a thing with Asgard and the New Mutants specifically, is they've always tied together really well for some reason, and I don't know why. I think New Mutants has always had that sort of primal energy going on with some of the characters. Like they've got magic, and they've got Wolfsbane, and they've always fit quite well. Oh, and Morningstar being a Valkyrie as well, which is quite good. And Sunstone, Mercy, Volume 7. Yeah, I'm not showing you any of the Eternals of that one because I'm trying to keep this family friendly. Needless to say, it's really good. It's one of those where you just like, it's a romance story. It's funny. It sets up enough of a foundation that it doesn't require any genuine suspension of disbelief, if you see what I mean. It's not like, oh, how are they doing that? And it's just quite easily, I've got a job that pays for it, so yeah, go for it. But it's not like 50 Shades of Bland or whatever it was called, where it's just like, oh, I'm a convenient millionaire. It does it properly. It's all about BDSM and stuff like that, and the relationships, and it's just brilliant. It's just beautiful artwork. Stefan Sejic. Again, if I've mispronounced the name. I always buy comics where the names are really hard to pronounce. But I'm not reading that right now. It's one of those that you get suckered into reading it. And yet again, New Agents of Atlas. I absolutely adore Hulkling and Wiccan. And the new Shang-Chi movie was brilliant. So that was another big purchase. And these look like an incredibly interesting, wonderful collection of characters, to be quite honest with you. So, really looking forward to that. Is that Hulkling? That might be, what's his name? The other Hulk that took over. I can't remember his name. I cannot remember his name. It's the genius one, though, that was... I thought they should have a thing at the beginning where they usually have a little... Oh, never mind. Bollocks to it. Never mind. Really looking forward to reading all of that. Got all my Eternal stuff down there. Yeah, what else have I read? I've read Chew, which isn't here at the minute. The second volume where he's following the criminal sister rather than the cop. It's spelt C-H-U. And she can read minds so long as people are eating the exact same thing as she is. So this is really interesting, and it's a lot of fun. And the first volume was quite hard-hitting, actually, and really sort of, wow, didn't see it going there. Let's see, what else? Captain Marvel... Well, yeah, I want to say Volume 7, but I can't remember. The one where she goes to Doctor Strange. So good. They've done really wonderful things. One of the things I absolutely adore about Marvel... is, and I like DC as well, before anybody says anything, I'm fine with DC. It's just that Marvel tend to take a character like, for example, the Sentry, or Captain Marvel, or godlike powerful ones, like Thor, obviously, and they make them human somehow, usually by adding a weakness that's equivalent to the power level. For example, the Sentry, he's agoraphobic, which means that he can't leave the house, and he's got all these other things going on, and he said he's got severe neurodivergent problems, and he's crippled by them, and things like that, and he can't be an effective character. So really, yeah. He can't be an effective superhero because of it, and so he becomes a villain, and he becomes a superhero, and he becomes this, and he becomes a merging of the two, and he becomes this, and So basically you've got this uber powerful character that's a red hot mess. Same with Captain Marvel. She's a recovering alcoholic, and she's got relationship problems, and she's got all these very down-to-earth problems that you can't beat up with superpowers. She's brilliant at being a superhero. She's crap at being a person. And it's amazing. It makes it this... He humanises the characters in a way that DC can't seem to do. And I know why that is. I'll get to that in a minute. But basically, let's see, with Thor, for example, like I said, they've given him sort of problems to do with his status. Like, he's not very good at being a king, but he's still fantastic at being a warrior. He's very wise, but not as wise as people older than him. They give him layers and depths and things like that. It's really interesting what they actually do with these characters that should be one-note characters. You know, hit it with a hammer, and there you go. DC have paradigm characters. They have the 7 most powerful characters in the world. They forming the Justice League, which is a pantheon. Each character corresponds to something in the sort of pantheon of gods. You've got Superman being Zeus, you've got Batman being Hades, you've got Wonder Woman being Hera, you've got Flash being Mercury, Green Lantern being Apollo, that kind of thing. And they all correspond to godlike beings with very specific weird weaknesses, like if Green Lantern gets afraid, then yellow can affect him. Superman's got kryptonite, which, let's face it, seems to be quite hard to find these days. So you've got to put him up against enemies like Doomsday or something daft like that. And holy wow, I've just spotted the time on this video. I've been talking for 20 minutes and I don't feel the urge to stop. That's quite remarkable. Wow, okay. But yeah, that's my general view on DC and Marvel. And I could probably do an episode on the comparison, to be perfectly honest with you, so that's a good idea for later. But like I said, that's what I've managed to buy recently. I'm overjoyed with my purchases. I've got X-Force and the Eternals in process, and also I'm going to be doing a 4-colour celluloid on, well, I'm going to do an introduction video first, and then I'm going to do some reviews and then a commentary track for 4-colour celluloid. I'm looking forward to doing that because I'm hoping they're going to be a damn sight easier. Anyway, before this video gets any longer, I'm going to call it a day there, and I'm really made up because I think I've managed to prattle long enough without needing to edit this too much. I'm not even going to throw in some captions, to be perfectly honest with you. I just want to get a video out there for my comics channel. Anyway, I hope you're all being safe. If you're curious as to why I haven't managed to get a video up for the 4-colour world recently, then go and watch my Mayberry Hill journal. Please take care, stay safe, and have fun reading comics.